Isla, could you briefly tell us what you'd expect to find in different sections in the master's dissertation in your area? For example, do you have an introduction and a literature review as two separate chapters?
Yes, that's how I would normally see it. I would see you'd have introduction, literature review, methods, results, and discussion stroke conclusion. Those could be separate chapters as well, or maybe the same chapter. But yeah, I would see the introduction as sort of where you would introduce the problem, describe some general literature, use some references, maybe include a few graphs or diagrams, and then at the end of it state your aims and objectives, and then the literature review would be more specific to the actual problem.
Right. So is there a specific structure that you expect to see in a literature review?
I would like it to be a sort of general introduction to it at the start, and then to break it down into subsections. So say you're looking at risk factors for a specific disease, you might break it down into sort of modifiable risk factors, non-modifiable risk factors, etc. So I think if they break it down into chunks, it's probably easier for the student to organise the literature, and it's certainly easier for the person to read the literature review if it's broken down.
And in the way that the literature is presented, do you have particular expectations? For instance, do you want to see, first of all, everything that's known in the field that relates to the area under discussion?
I think you might have some general papers at first, but then the more specific papers. And I like to see them explore each paper, each reference a bit more, rather than say studies have shown and then 5 different references afterwards. So you say a study in such and such a country conducted under such and such circumstances showed X, Y, and Z. However, a further study, and so expand on each piece of literature rather than just say studies have shown and then put a block of references at the end of it.
So you expect a clear and detailed description of what's known in the field.
Yeah.
And as a next section, would you hope to see what's not known in the specific area of interest?
Yes.
Yeah. What does that look like in a dissertation? How do students approach that?
Well, I suppose that can be difficult. I suppose it's a description of the problem that they're going to explore. So they could maybe say, the literature that they've looked at has maybe been conducted under such certain circumstances or certain population groups, but it's not been explored within their population group. So they might say what's been lacking from the previous studies.
And do you expect that all together in one block?
No, it'd probably be broken down again. Maybe the final section would be what do we want to find out and what's not known.
So you see that as a final section in the whole of the literature review.
Yeah.
So you think you would appreciate a sort of generally an overview of what's there.
An overview at the start, then some more specific subsections of specific
of what's
topics
known.
Of what's known, and then maybe something about what's not known.
And then obviously that would lead into aims and objectives, and would they restate their aims and objectives there again?
I think it's useful to do that. I think it's useful to make sure throughout the dissertation that your aims and objectives are clear and that they're consistent, and you don't sort of change your aims and objectives, don't state a different aim or a different sort of what we're hoping to find out. And then even state them again in the results, make sure the results link to the aims and objectives, so make it continuous throughout the dissertation.